use of Mercer management consultants in that area. An item on competition. Frank Blount's bulletin on pre-selection. The results of the staff survey, which we've all been involved in for the last few weeks. And the team briefing competition, which is a competition that Leo has started to produce a symbol for team briefing. Okay, I'd like to now tackle the item number 4, which is the pre-selection item, which is one of Leo's asterisked items, and it relates to the issue by Frank Blount of a bulletin explaining the outcomes of the pre-selection negotiations with Optus. That was a result of a fact, or rather the information there came out on a fax stream on the 13th of November to everybody, and you really need to make sure your staff have seen that fax stream. It provides some interesting information for us. From a network engineering point of view, of course, we must make sure that the technical aspects of the rollout of those issues are fully developed and that there's no problems in the pre-selection in terms of the rollout of the product availability. That's about the best thing we can do at this stage. Are there any questions on the pre-selection item at all?
Yes, I have a question, Lance. With regard to the access arrangements after the pre-selection ballot, have they been determined yet?
Yes, they have. As you're aware, the current method of customers accessing Optus is by dialing 1. Following the pre-selection ballots, there'll be a 4-digit code, and this is where it's very important for Telecom to get it right the first time, because after we've actually done that pre-selection, customers, if they pre-select to go to Optus, they then have to dial a 4-digit code to come back to Telecom. Now that's quite an inconvenience for people. So if we lose people on that ballot, we're going to have a lot of trouble winning them back.
Thank you, Lance. I've got another question on pre-selection. Once customers have made a selection, is there any cost to, if they've changed their mind, if they want to change back for any reason?
That's a good question, I think, Robin. I think that's one I'd like to refer back up to Leo Tyrrell. If you wouldn't mind filling out one of the question sheets for us and maybe giving it back to me during team talk, and I'll refer it back up.
Good, will do.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move quickly into the local brief, which I'll hand out to you now. And if you could have a quick look at the headlines on those items before we move into them. Item 1 is the office security arrangements in this building. As you are aware, the office front doors have recently been mill-keyed, and hopefully that work will be finished today. And as soon as that is completed, I'm keen for us to move straight into the better security arrangements that we've been planning for some time. Okay, just recapping quickly on the headlines. Item 1 was the annual report. Item 2, talking about benchmarking in the organisation, and particularly in network products. Item 3, on competition, and the fact that Optus launched its long-distance service on the 15th of November. Item 4, a discussion on the pre-selection negotiations with Optus. Item 5, on the staff survey results. Item 6, on the team briefing competition. Okay, well that completes the team brief for this month. And now I'll ask Brian, I believe you're the facilitator for this month for the assessment, to carry on the assessment procedure.
Are there any items you'd like passed up the line to Leo Tyrrell for him to reply to?
Yes, I have one, Brian. Following the recent Property Services Budget Review, the funds for CAN-initiated sites and buildings were allocated to Consumer Business Unit. Given that we are responsible for the network sites and buildings investment, should this be so, or should the control of the investment reside with us?
That sounds like a formal question, Graham. I think the best process with that might be to fill in the official question sheet. If you can give that back to me, then I'll send it up the line by the coordinators.
Sure, will do.
Mind doing that? Okay, that's the final point on the evaluation sheet, so I will go back and summarise these points and send them back to the national coordinator. So I'll pass back to you, Lance.
Okay, thanks Brian, and thank you everybody. That's the end of the team briefing for today. The next briefing will be on the 16th of December, as I said, unless Leo introduces an additional team brief to provide the details of the staff survey information. Move straight now into team talk. Are there any team talk items you'd like to raise?
Yes, Peter, I was interested in your comments earlier on about area planning and where we're heading with that.
Right, Graham, the National Review team on area planning will be over on Tuesday morning for a meeting to assess where we're at in this state, and we'll be holding a meeting this afternoon with the CAN people to discuss that issue.
Any other team talk issues that we'd like to raise? Okay, well that's all for team talk. We'll now break for lunch if you don't mind and resume for the council meeting at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Thanks everybody.
There are a number of things that can be done to make the delivery of team briefs effective. Let us see examples of team briefs and what techniques managers employ in making presentations as interesting as possible.
With office security around the place. When we go back into Telecom Centre, you may find that we actually have a milk-key entry to our floor.
Firstly, maintain a relaxed, open stance during the presentation. Your speech should be clear and audible, and modulate your voice like a roller coaster to maintain interest.
Finally, on the local brief, in addition to the rec leave that I've already mentioned, there's one special one, Myra.
You remember?
Yeah, Myra's off to Bali. Wow. Two weeks time.
You cancelled, maybe you didn't talk about it.
No, so this is the opportunity to put your duty-free orders in now.
Face the group and maintain eye contact as much as possible, rather than reading from the brief. Use your own words in language the team can understand.
Just a couple of reminders. This 2-hour appointment time is arrival time for the lineys and techs. It's not the actual fixed time, installed time for the customer. So if they expect it to be on by 11, it's not necessarily the case.
Respond to and encourage questions from the team. Use the person's name as often as possible.
Staffing away, or more than one staff away at a time is going to be critical. How do you think you'll be able to handle that?
Well, we're fairly busy for the moment. The most we could release would be 2.
Use active listening techniques and paraphrase larger questions for clarification.
Non-standard equipment is going to be difficult in the future.
Oh, I see. So what you actually want to know is, can we swap over some of the new PCs that are delivered so that within our group we've got exactly the same hardware equipment? Is that correct?
Exactly right.
Kerry Clifford is the team briefing manager for corporate and government.
I find one of the secrets to successful team briefing is to add some humour. Let's face it, we could all use some humour in our day. It tends to make the whole process more informal and relaxed.
When managers are writing briefs, they've got to understand that they've got to keep them short and to the point. You know, I've seen some minutes of meetings that would probably make great novels. But people further down the line, if they're going to read these briefs, want something quick, short, precise, and to the point.
In summary, the main training points are: have a relaxed, open stance, face the group and maintain eye contact, paraphrase questions to clarify meanings and encourage questions from your team, use a person's name whenever you're talking to them. Open questions will often provide clarification of information. Use humour where possible and add impact to your presentation by using appropriate and relevant presentation aids. Use specific examples to illustrate points and keep your items short, sharp and focused. One way to find out what's going on the floor is to regularly walk the job. Listening to what our people are saying and experiencing the work environment firsthand is vital in any management process.
Well, as I'm walking around each month, I often stop and ask the people what they thought of the last month's brief and if there's anything in particular that they would like included in the local brief for next month. That way they can see that I'm interested in what's going to come across in the message and that really is relevant to the local people.
Team briefing coordinators are very important to the ongoing success of the system. The accountability of monitoring the communication process usually rests with them.
For team briefing to be effectively implemented, you need an overall manager plus some coordinators. So we recommend establishing a communication manager who would have the responsibility of actually developing a comprehensive communication plan, which might include other strategies besides team briefing, but certainly their most important role will be managing the implementation of team briefing. So it's a communication manager's job to set up the training, to develop that roster, to develop the forms that will be required, the feedback loops, and to look at nominating these coordinators. Now, the coordinator's role is very specific. They are responsible for making sure that those questions get answered, and also for receiving copies of the feedback forms, looking at, you know, what information needs to go to the general manager to be included in the core brief, and perhaps any remedial action that might be taken or might need to be taken, resulting from the presentation style of the team briefer.
The purpose of the evaluation sheets and question forms is to monitor the team briefing process within the unit. For example, if a pattern starts to emerge, we can quickly alert the senior managers and a statement can be issued in the next core brief.
It's also very important to have a rigid timetable, so we put a roster in place 6 months in advance so that everybody knows exactly when the team briefing is going to be on, because they need to coordinate other meetings with that team briefing timetable. Now, if the team briefer can't attend that team briefing session, he or she must delegate to someone else. So they then would attend the session above them, receive that information, and then come back and brief the team.
So follow-up is important if team briefing is to be effective. Managers must be visible and seen to walk the job. Questions must be dealt with as quickly as possible. The team must ensure their feedback form is faxed to their coordinator immediately after a brief. And absentees must not be forgotten. They should be followed up on their return to work. Folders must be kept with notes on suitable items for local briefs. And ongoing training needs for new managers and supervisors must be monitored and provided. Australia's wide expanse means some staff work in isolated locations. Together with those on shift work or those responding to customer demands, some staff may be left out of regular communication channels. The most common form of team briefing to remote locations is a combination of fax and teleconferencing. The brief should be sent about 1 or 2 hours ahead of the conference call so they can be copied and distributed ahead of time. At the appointed time, a teleconference link-up is made by Telecom and all team members are connected.
As well as the group we have here in the office. Is everybody online? Are you there, John, from Karratha?
Hear you loud and clear, Mike.
From the Goldfields?
Certainly am, Mike. Hello to the team in Perth.
And Helen from Albany?
Helen here, Mike. Hope the weather's better at your end.
Right. Everybody's there. Employee opinion surveys. What are the results? The results have shown that we have major concerns that exceed the normal. Focus groups are going to be created to address the issues that have come out of this employee opinion survey. The business believes that we'll only get one shot at making it right. Now, are there any questions on that first topic, please?
What date will the results be published, Mike?
Good question, John. To the best of my knowledge, the results will be published in Our Future, issue number 29, due out this week. Are there any other questions from anybody? Okay, we'll go on to topic number 2.
Audio cassettes can also be made of briefs, followed by a phone call to answer any questions arising from the brief. Team briefing is working all over Australia, as well as in numerous organisations around the world. Telecom has committed itself to improving and maintaining open, honest, timely and relevant face-to-face communication. The benefits in making it work are numerous. But like anything else that's worth doing, it will take time and commitment.
Just talking about the team briefing, is for us to be competitive, there's got to be good communication down the line. It's good for the customer and it's good for our survival.
I think this innovation is really a timely one for Telecom. Quite clearly, face-to-face communication isn't new, but in times of rapid change and the restructuring that we're going through at the moment, it certainly does help to get messages across and dispel some of the rumours that quickly get around if we don't undertake something like this.
I think it's good for our customers as well, because we're able to get our opinions back to our managers very quickly, and this flows right back up the line. It should make us more competitive overall. The team briefing process to be done properly does take quite a bit of time, but for the benefits gained overall, it's time very well spent.
In the past, if there was any bad news, we often heard it through the grapevine, and the rumours often were worse than what the story was in fact. And through team briefs, we can hear from Don exactly what the situation is and ask questions.
So if we get this right, we'll improve the morale of our staff, we'll increase productivity and customer responsiveness.
As you receive information about our business from team briefing and in other ways, please let me know your views. I need to know them, and I'd appreciate you telling me.
Team briefing is critically important because we must make sure we utilize every asset at our disposal in a competitive marketplace. Our people, those assets, are the most important asset we have. Technology is important, it's necessary but not sufficient. It's the delivery of the technology and what it can deliver to customers through our people. Empowered people who understand what the business is about and support it is the way we're going to differentiate ourselves in this very competitive marketplace. That makes team briefing and all that goes around that whole issue of staff communications very vital to our future. And I just want to encourage you again to give every consideration to how important this is as you go about your day-to-day working lives.